Hello, friends. Welcome, welcome. So glad that you are here. Today is June the 6th, and we are here. We're changing the name of what we're doing. We've got some new things coming down the pipeline. This is going to be our community connection now, at least for now. So we're going to get some like an intro made and all that other good stuff. But anyway, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. We want to run through our announcements in a really, really quick way. And today we're just kind of veering off a little bit from Joseph. I know that we didn't finish. I think we have like 2 more chapters to do with Joseph. But hey, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. Glad to have you, Deborah. Thanks for being here and for letting us know that you are in the house. But something that we got in prayer earlier this week from Genesis, the 28th chapter. And so I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. So I'm looking forward to that. Hello, welcome, Davis Consultants. If you guys need a consultant, not if, you do. If you're doing anything, if you're breathing, you need a consultant. He can consult you on how to breathe. Give him a call. He can help you out. Seriously. We're all here in this community, making this community connection because of a conversation that I had with Davis Consultants. So I'm telling you, he can really help you out. All right, we are going to talk about Genesis, the 28th chapter, but I just wanted to just real quick go over some of our announcements. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors big time. And speaking of Davis Consultants, listen, Davis Consultants presents Today is Your Day show on Fridays at 12 noon. Join us live on YouTube and Facebook. And I think we've got one that's coming up next week earlier during the week, and I should have asked you about it, Jonathan. I didn't even think about it until just now. I apologize for that. But I'll be sure to send out the announcement when we get on and have our show. You guys remember what's happening or what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, well, that is coming back. So we're going to have that really soon. Also want to thank our sponsors, Young People Nation. They are the bomb. Okay, this week's conversation is about fathers, the need for fathers in the lives of their children. I mean, it is so good. They drop a new one every Thursday at 12 noon, hosted by Eugene and Donna Perry. They are doing a phenomenal job. Find them on Facebook and YouTube. Follow them, like them, make a comment when you watch what they do, because they are really, really, really making an impact into the lives of people. I'm good on coaching, the breathing. Yeah, breathing and the eating and all that stuff. Yeah, he can do it all. Yes, Young People Nation is super duper awesome. And so we appreciate them. The other thing is wanted to say thank you to Montre Roberts. She is a host of A Word and a Song every third Sunday at 7 p.m. on her Facebook page. So screenshot that so that you can find her on Facebook. It's Montre, Montra Roberts, and she is such a huge support. Now, many of you who are on and those of you who are watching the replay, some of you got the text message to say, hey, join us tonight. We're coming on together. We're coming into the community connection. If you want to be a part of that text message group, go ahead and join us by sending a text to community. The way I have it spelled down there in the right corner, it's with a K, KOMMUNITY. Send that word to 866-939-6096, 866-939-6096, and you will get a text message on when to join us. And the last thing, we are excited. Prayer School is coming up. We are officially announcing it. Now, this is what is happening. It is a 5-week course. It will begin September the 9th. That is the week after Labor Day. So you have that time to get ready. And then thereafter, every Monday for 5 weeks from 8 until 9:30, we are going to be talking about prayer. We're going to learn about prayer, the intricacies of prayer, how to pray effectively, how to line our prayer up with the word, the types of prayers that are available, the different prayer watches. There are 8 of them in the Bible. All of this is going to be backed up by the word. Now, we are asking for a one-time fee, but that includes your registration, and you're also going to get a workbook. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to create out of this class, I guess it would depend on who wants to participate because I can't make you guys do anything, but we're going to create a prayer group. And that is the group that we're going to be a part of. We're going to pray for one another. We're going to strengthen ourselves in prayer. We're going to put down our prayer requests. We're going to pray the way that we learned, and we're going to watch God answer our prayer. So if you want to be a part of that, just go to our website at KimberlyJMinistries.org, and that is where you can sign up for the prayer school. I am so excited, man. Getting ready for it is one thing, but being ready to share it with you. Listen, it's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be a closed community, and we're gonna do the teaching from 8 until 9, but get this, from 9 o'clock until 9:30 is when we are going to do activations. That means that you are actually going to pray what we learned that night. It's going to be so exciting because you're going to be stretched, you're going to grow, you're going to build that prayer muscle. We're going to have just some insight on things, and I just pray that you all will be a part of it. And so we are looking forward to you just joining us, and really it's going to be a part of building up your confidence as well. And let me just make sure everything, that is it. Okay, guys, let's get ready. Let's get ready to rumble. All right, we are going to Genesis, the 28th chapter. As I said, for those of you who are just coming on, we still have 2 more chapters to do in Joseph, and we'll get back to that. But I just feel like there's a shift that's happening. There's a change. It's like something new that we need to step into. Hey, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you. That we need to step into. And so during our prayer time, we went over Genesis, the 28th chapter, and that really has kind of stuck in my spirit. And so that's what I want to go over today, because we're making some adjustments. And yeah, hey family, I love it. It's almost like a family reunion, like everybody's sitting right around the dinner table. I love it. Or after dinner, we got our feet propped up and we're getting ready to just talk in the living room with the fireplace. Somebody can get on the piano. If somebody knows how to play the piano, y'all can get over there. Somebody can come and sit here. There's some room over here on the couch. You can sit there. Somebody can sit on this right here. There's some room over here. Make sure you put a coaster under your drink if you're drinking something. Don't want to put rings on the table. See that brown table? You don't want to put rings on the table. Leave those rings. Does anybody know how to get rings out of the table, like from the watermarks? I'm trying to think. I've done it. I saw it online somewhere. Let me think. I love it. She said, my feet are propped up. Well, don't be propping your feet up on my table, girl. Prop them up on your own table. I love it. Get comfortable. You're good. You're good. All right. Let's turn our devices to Genesis, the 28th chapter, or turn in your Bibles, Genesis 28. And I'm reading from the NIV. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him not to marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Padam Aram, to the house of your mother's father. Take a wife for yourself there from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. So Jacob, or Isaac, is telling Jacob. Now, let me say this. We were just talking about last week, we were talking about Joseph. Jacob is Joseph's father. So this is kind of backtracking. This is kind of the way they do it on the TV shows. They take you all the way back to things that are significant to what happened, what's happening to current day or present day. So we're just doing a reflective look. We're going all the way back to Genesis, the 28th chapter. And we were in Genesis, the 48th chapter. So we're just backtracking just a little bit. And this is where Isaac, which is the dad, called Jacob, or Isaac is the grandfather, called the grandfather to Joseph, called Jacob, and he blessed him. And he said, don't marry a Canaanite woman. Don't do that. Don't marry a Canaanite woman. And in the chapter before this, or chapters before this, Jacob's mother, Rebekah, told Isaac, I do not want Jacob to marry a Canaanite woman, because if he does, then my life is going to be over. Like, they're going to get rid of me because they don't want my influence at all. So the mother is influencing things influencing what happens to her son. All right, verse 3. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. Now, in this third verse is where Isaac is blessing his son Jacob. And so I want to encourage you, moms and dads, to make sure you bless your children. Make sure you say things that will encourage your children, because that internal conversation that's in all of our heads, all of that comes from our parents when we were young. We're hearing the things that they have said and the things that they say. So in this month of June, I just feel like it is an opportunity for us to reset, to revisit things, to just lay some things out in a different way. We are like halfway through the year. We are like in halftime. We talked about this during our prayer time. We are in halftime. And out on the field in halftime, there's a lot going on. But in the locker room, there's a conversation that's happening. And part of that conversation in the locker room, so like we're in the locker room, we're in the huddle. Part of that conversation in the locker room is, what did we do wrong in the first half? What can we change from the first half? What can we improve from the first half? So I want you to think about what you can change, improve, do different. What can you do moving forward? Think about the goal that you have set for yourself. What do you want to see at the end of the year, at the beginning of next year in 2025? How do you want to walk into 2025? Well, today, this month is where the preparation starts. This month is where things change so that you can have the outcome that you are looking for. And in verse 3 is where the dad blessed the son. The father spoke over him. Your words have power. The Bible talks about how life and death are in the power of the tongue. Anybody know where that's found? Anybody know where that's found? Put that in the scripture, the book, the scripture, and the verse. The scripture, the book, the chapter, and the verse. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Put that in the chat for us. So the things that you say to your kids, good or bad, it's a seed that they soak up. Like mommy didn't like that, or daddy didn't like that. Pay attention to the way you speak to your grandchildren, and let's pay attention to the way we speak to each other, to other adults. Because if you have influence in an adult's heart, the things that you say to that adult can really damage them or encourage them. So think about, be wise with your words. Be slow to speak. Seriously, your words have impact. Your words make a difference. All right, verse 4. May he give you and your descendants the blessings given to Abraham. He's still blessing him and telling him that you are going to be blessed, that God will make you fruitful, and God will increase your numbers, and that you will become a community of people. He's saying you're going to grow, you're going to flourish. He's also saying, may God give you and your descendants the blessing that was given to Abraham. And we're in that line. So that you may take possession of the land where you now reside as a foreigner, the land that God gave to Abraham. Verse 5, then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Paddan-aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. So Rebekah was Jacob and Esau's mother. Verse 6. And now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and he had sent him to Paddan-aram to take a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman. Thank you. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Thank you, Team Perry. And on that note, I'm going to encourage folks to hang out with you on Thursdays at noon. Team Perry, they do Young People Nation podcast every Thursday at noon. It's hosted by Eugene and Donna Perry, and they bring transparency and healing, a place of safety and truth in everyday situations. And let me tell you, this week's conversation is about the significance The significance of fathers in the son's life. That's what we're talking about right now. The significance of fathers in a son's life. And you get to hear from the son talking about the need that he has for his father in his life, and you get to hear from the father. I'm telling you, it is a powerful conversation. You can find them on YouTube, Young People Nation. Go and support them, follow them, pay attention to what they are doing. It's a Young People Nation podcast. Also, subscribe to their channel because they have some dynamic, some real, raw, significant conversations. And if you haven't caught up with them lately, be sure to catch up with them because you will be blessed for doing so. Seriously. Thank you for looking that up. Proverbs 18:21. The power of life and death is in your tongue, is in the tongue. And as Christians, we believe that the Bible is the final authority. We've talked about this before. If there's something that comes up and you have a perspective on it and the Bible has a perspective on it, you've got a choice to make. Are you going to stay with your perspective or are you going to line up with what the word says? That's how we grow. That's how we mature. That's how we get strong. It's not doing things our way. Jesus didn't come for us to be like, I'm doing this my way, Jesus, and you need to line up with the way I'm doing it. That's not how it works. When you come into a kingdom, there are certain ways that the kingdom is set up. And you have to follow the rules of the kingdom. Otherwise, you will not be successful. You'll have a hard way to go. But back to this. This is the father speaking into the son's life. Again, Young People Nation is a perfect example of that conversation. So make sure you chime in on this week's conversation and the other ones that you've not listened to. Verse 6. Now Esau learned that his father had blessed Jacob. We read that. Verse 7. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and had gone to Paddan Aram. Now Esau then realized how displeased the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac. Esau then realized how the Canaanite women displeased his father. How did he just now realize that his father wasn't pleased with them? I mean, I know how he did because they sent Jacob away and he told Jacob not to marry a Canaanite woman. But how did Esau miss that conversation over family dinner? So here's one thing that I will say, and I've said this before. Well, I've said this before. We cannot assume that our children know the intricacies of what we believe. Sometimes I think that as parents, you'll go to church, you're like, this is not happening in my house. And, there are certain headlines that kids know that's not going to happen in the household. But some of that stuff, some of that minutia in between, some of that stuff that you've never had a conversation with them about, you assume that they know. But sometimes they don't know. So I'm saying all that to say this. Open the communication with your child, with your young person, with your niece and nephew, with your grandchildren. Have conversations with them, even if you think they know what you're talking about. Even if you're like, oh, they can put it together. You assume they understand. You assume they understand the breadth and the depth of what you believe about certain things. But sometimes they don't. Esau missed the whole thing about his dad being displeased with Canaanite women. But really that displeasure came from his mother, because the mother whispered in the dad's ear, don't let Jacob marry a Canaanite woman. But within that family dynamic, there were conversations, I'm sure. Rebecca didn't just come up and say, oh, I don't like the Canaanite women. There was a history of things happening. So my point is, don't assume that your children know or understand. There's one thing that I try to do, even with my nieces and nephews, is have conversations with them about certain things. And I know that their parents do, but have conversations with them. But also, I I have those conversations because I want them to have the verbiage to be able to articulate what they believe, what they think. I want them to have thought about situations before they find themselves in the middle of situations. And it's like, okay, how do I respond? I know that I don't need to do this, but I don't really know how to get out of this. I think as a young person, we've kind of all been through that before. Like, ooh, I don't want my friends to think I'm a dud, but how do I backtrack out of this? As an adult, you can see I'm just walking away. I'm gonna, go my own path. But as a teenager, sometimes it's not that easy. So having those conversations will give them the dialogue or the verbiage to use or an escape route in order to get out of whatever they're in. But you got to talk to them so that they have an opportunity to think through the process and before it happens. All right, verse 9. So he went to Ishmael and married Merahala, the sister of Nabaotha, and the daughter of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, in addition to the wives he already had. Now, Jacob is making this transition. Verse 10, Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and he laid down and he went to sleep. One thing that we've talked about in prayer is how many of you get tired? How many of you get tired? Or are tired of running from situations, running from doing the right thing, running from eating right, running from exercise, obviously not running, but sitting on the couch with your feet propped up. How many of you are tired of running from the different areas that you know that you need to bring up to the next level? I'm using him being tired from a day's journey and sleeping as a kind of a metaphor of us running during the first half of this year from the things that we know that we should do. So as we are crossing over into the second half of the year, let's realign ourselves so that we are able to do what we are supposed to do so that we're able to be successful by the end of the year. That would be magic. That would be amazing. Verse 12, now he laid down and went to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway rested on the earth, and it stopped, and its top reached to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. How many of you dream? You can put that in the chat. I dream, I dream, I dream, I dream. In your dreams, I want you to think about some of the things that you have dreamt about and whether or not you paid attention to those things. I believe that in some of our prayers, we pray, oh God, help me with this, give me wisdom on this, and help me to do this. And God has answered you in a dream. I'm going to put, I dream. I dream. I dream too. A lot. I believe that God has given us the answers that we're looking for in our dreams. He's the God of the night season. He talks to us. The Bible is filled with people who dream. It's filled with people who dream. And in those dreams is when God gives them answers, gives them direction, gives them strategies, gives them insight in their dreams. Now, when you get up, you got to write those dreams down because they will quickly go away. And get in the habit of writing down whatever you can remember, no matter how minute it is. Just write it down. And the more you do it, the more you'll get in step with doing it. I believe some of our answers to our prayers have been answered, but it happened in a dream that we weren't paying attention to because we wanted God to lay us out or a hand to show up and to write on the wall, or for somebody to walk up to us and say, thus saith the Lord. I made that phrase up saying that he's the God of the night season, but God, the reason why I said that is because we dream at night. Um, and so my explanation of God talking to us at night is I said that God is the God of the night season. That's where that came from. That was Kim. That was me. But the scriptures do tell us, like in this, it says that he lay down and he went to sleep and he had a dream in which he saw the stairway resting on the earth. And there are many people like the wise men who came to visit Jesus. God came to them in a dream while they were asleep at night and told them to go another way. God visits his people and he talks to us in dreams. That's where that came from. There is no scripture, there's no chapter, verse, and scripture, or what am I saying? No book, chapter, and verse that says God is the God of the night season. But that is my summation of that. But thank you for asking that question so that I could clarify it. I appreciate it. All right, verse 13. There above stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Verse 14, your descendants will be like dust on the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on the earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. Verse 15, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land, and I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. I believe that there are promises in our lives that God has given to us, has spoken to us, has put in our hearts for promises. And even in his word, there are promises that he's given to us. And I just believe that God says that he will, it says, I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. I do know the word says that he will never leave us and that he will never forsake us, that God is looking out for us. And this is one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is one reason why I wanted to talk about this chapter, Genesis 28th chapter. This is not in the Bible. This is Kim. This is me. I believe that there are things that we go through. And I'm not talking about the bad things. I'm just talking about things that stretch us, maybe things that might aggravate us, things that might pull us out of our comfort zone. I believe that there are things that we go through and we keep going through those things. Sometimes it's a different face. Sometimes it's a different location, but kind of the circumstances are the same. And I believe that those are testings. And when I say testings, I don't want to say testings. Let me think of another word. Those are opportunities for us to get strong in the areas where we are weak, in the areas where we blow up in conversations. And that one person knows how to just dig at you. That one person knows how to, just get you going. And sometimes we continue to respond the same way over and over again. And those situations keep coming around. I would encourage us not to say, oh, that's just how I am. The people in my family are like this. They better watch out because this is how we handle things. This is how we deal with it. Well, you know what? You're going to keep having that same kind of situation, circumstance come around until you get it right, until you respond properly. Remember, the Bible is the final authority. And I'm saying this again because we've got new people on. When there is an opportunity for you to do what you want to do, or you to do with what lines up with the word, you can continue to do what you want to do, but you're going to keep running into you're going to keep going around that same mountain. Or you can line your response up with the word and grow and mature and get stronger. The decision is yours. God will let you go around that mountain. He will let you continue to do it. So you decide whether or not you want to grow, whether or not you want to lay down your ego, whether or not you want to lay down the way your will, not your will, but God's will, whether or not you want to lay down your will and do it his way, the choice is yours. But I am encouraging you that when situations come up, don't just rest in the fact of, let me see. I think I wrote it down because I was listening to this in another community that I was in. And when I heard it, I thought, oh, I've got to share it with our people because this is so good. God has called us to grow. He's called us, here it is. Elevate current priorities, embrace. Jesus answered. I don't think I wrote it down. Obviously, I didn't. All right. Well, anyway, take the opportunity to grow. Take the opportunity to take the high road. Take the opportunity to respond in a very different way. Okay? I was looking to see. And here's another thing that I want you to think about. And for those of you who are taking notes, and again, I heard this in another community that I'm a part of. So if you're part of that community, you heard the same thing. I'm just repeating what I heard. Oh, let me ask you this. If you were the devil, I'm not calling anybody the devil, but I want you to think about this. If you were the devil, what would you do to stop you from walking into your destiny? I want you to think about that. If you were the devil, what would you do to stop you from walking into your destiny? Does that make you think a little bit? He pays attention to us, but we're going to come off the devil a little bit because some of that stuff that we do is us and not him. Sometimes we give the devil a whole lot of credit. I want to ask yourself, what would you use to stop you from getting into your destiny? Take over that's good. What would you do? You would take over the mind. If you were the devil, what would you do to stop you from reaching your destiny? What would you do, or what would you use to stop you from reaching your destiny? Davis Consultant says, take over the mind. That's it. Because once you got the mind, you don't have to do anything else. Once you think lowly of yourself, you're not going to try. You're not going to pray. You're not going to put forth an effort. Once you think I can't do it, or I'm dumb, or I'm not good enough, oh my goodness. And for those of us in this community that have those thoughts, look at it as the devil. I'm saying the devil. I'm using that term for a moment, but I'm going to switch it up in a second. Those of you who are in this community who have those thoughts that keep you on a low level of thinking, that keep you from trying, that keep you from your destiny, I want you to stop and think, one, where that thought came from. It probably came from somewhere way back when you were younger, somebody that your heart was open to. They said some things that hurt. It may not even been a parent. It could have been a sibling. It could have been a schoolmate. It could have been maybe a babysitter or uncle and aunt. It could have been anybody to say something to just hurt your heart. And that kind of stopped you from making the effort to do better. If you know that this is how you would stop a person, I want you to think about what's going on in your mind. This ministry is all about renewing the mind. How do you renew your mind? You renew your mind, yeah, of course, reading the word, but you renew your mind by reading books that you're interested in. And yeah, they can be biblical books, but they can also be books that are just full of encouragement. Would be a target as well. I don't know who you are, but Yeah, the devil can't, I mean, I'm saying the devil. Yeah, we can get off course and not reach our destiny. We can. We have a choice. And so your destiny is waiting. God knows the end from the beginning. He knows where you want it, where he wants you to end up. He knows the plan. But we also have free choice. And so just because we don't make it to our destiny doesn't mean that it wasn't for us. If you have the keys to open a car door or to open a home and you don't use those keys, and just because you don't use the keys doesn't mean that it wasn't for you, it's that you didn't use the keys. So a lot of what we do, a lot of what um, the decisions that we make, we need to be mindful of where those decisions will take us. Here's something else. For every level that we go to, there are new hurdles to cross. This is a new hurdle for us. This is a new hurdle in the community connection. We've got new hurdles. Yeah, staying distracted by close family. That can slow you up. It can get you off course. It can get you focused on the wrong things. I'm saying on the wrong things. It can get you focused on things that are not good for your destiny. So when we get quiet, what needs? What if I said to you that there are no mistakes, that you make no mistakes in life? What if I said that to you? Would you believe that? That there are no mistakes in life? No mistakes. Does that sound feasible to you? When I say that there are no mistakes, only areas that we need to work on. So if we look at things, and if we look at things or areas where we've kind of missed the mark, where we feel like we could have done better, where we feel like we could have showed up better, where we could have showed up more productive, it doesn't mean that we've made a mistake. It just means, and this is Kim, it just means that those are areas that we need to work on. That's my perspective. And so earlier I was saying that I was going to take the word devil out of our conversation, because it's not the devil. These are just areas that we need to work on. Some of the things that we do and don't do are areas that need to be developed. And so I'm saying all this to say that there are times when we look as if we have, oh, this enemy that's after us. This enemy is keeping me from doing this enemy that's keeping me from doing that. And a lot of it sometimes is just us being lazy. Sometimes it's just, I think we give the devil more credit than he deserves. Sometimes it's just us not wanting to do it. Sometimes we don't have a plan and we don't know how to get to the next place. Well, then that's when you seek out people who are where you're trying to be, and maybe get into a partnership with them, or a, what do you call it? Like a mentor relationship with them. I'm just saying some of the things that we blame on the devil, maybe not. And again, I got this from another community that I was in, and I thought that it was just so good. I just wanted to share it with us. As I mentioned earlier, the testing keeps coming around until we pass the test. God will test us over and over. Oh, this was something that they said. I thought this was really good. God will test us over and over, but the devil doesn't test us because he doesn't want us to get better. So sometimes when we're like, oh, that's just the devil, maybe, and I'm just saying, think about this. Maybe it's God. Maybe, y'all, we are in a new place. I'm getting ready to tell you, because these comments are like, we are in a new place. That's all I got to say. And know that we are in a new place, community. We're in a new place. Um, Maybe God keeps bringing that around to us so that we can grow, so that we can get strong, so that we can get it right. Because when you're strong, when you don't cast away your confidence, you're able to stand. You're able to stand flat footed in what you believe and what you know. You're not tossed by every wind and doctrine that comes along. You're able to stand up and know what you believe. Then you're right. God causes all things to work out for our good. All right, I'm going back to the word and then we're going to wrap it up. Genesis 28. Okay, verse 16. So when Jacob woke up from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. That's how he described it. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. And he called that place Bethel, which is the place of God, though the city used to be called Luz. Jacob was so enthralled in the fact that God was in this place and I didn't know it. We talked about it. Bethel was called God is in this place. I may have misspoke. God is in this place. Let me look that up so I can make sure. Oh my gosh, y'all. We are in a different place, is all I can say. We are in a different place. I didn't write it down, so I was trying to remember from memory, but let me look it up. It was the holy place. This is so funny. This is so funny. The literal meaning of Bethel is house of God. House of God. That's what Bethel means, house of God. Ah, that is so funny. All right. So, verse 18, early the next morning. Okay, verse 19, we said that. Verse 20, then Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with you and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, I will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's house, to my father's household. Then the Lord will be my God. Basically, we know Jacob as a swindler. Jacob was one who would try to negotiate things, so to speak. Well, Jacob is negotiating with God, saying, okay, if God will give me food to eat, if he will give me clothes to wear, then I'll let him be my God. Basically, kind of the attitude of what he's saying, which is how we read this. But how do we look at God? How do we look at God? I got you. Thank you so much for the text. How do we look at God? Do we decide whether or not he's going to be Lord in our lives by what he does for us? If God does this, then I'll allow him to continue to be God. If God answers this prayer, if God, do you know what I'm saying? Let's think about that. Let's check ourselves with that. Let's pay attention to that. The way that we look at God, the way that our relationship is with him. It just makes me crack up. And then the last verse, verse 22, and this stone that I have set as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. So he's telling God that, all right, I'm making this place a place where you dwell. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a tenth. I'm going to tithe to you. And some scholars say that this is Jacob in his old nature, in a sense, trying to bargain with God. Like, I want you to do, you said you're going to do A, B, C, D. And if you do it, I'll give you a tenth of what I get. And so I guess I'm saying all that. Again, scholars have said that, some of what I've read. But what I'm saying all that is to say that let's think about the way that we interact with God. Because sometimes we can do this by saying, if my prayers aren't answered, then I'm not going to serve you, so to speak, and I'll close off part of my heart to you because I was praying for XYZ to happen, or because I was praying for the job and I didn't get it, or because I was praying for someone and then they didn't get healed, or whatever. Sometimes we enter into that, like you said, that barter, that trade. And let's just think about it. Let's just think about it. Think about the way we treat God and think about our attitude toward him when it comes to things that are pertaining to us. Guys, I think we are in a new place. I believe that we are. And so I'm excited about it. It just makes us dig deeper. And so let's just get ready. When we come together, let's have our tools, our word together. Let's make sure we're reading it so that we know how to respond appropriately, you know? And I'm excited about that. So yes, this is so true. He does answer according to his will. But if we don't know his will, then we will hold it against him. You make a valid point. He answers according to his will. He absolutely does. All right, guys. I just want to throw these things back up real quick before we get out of here. I want you guys to support our sponsors. I don't even know if I should throw these up here. Support our sponsors. Young People Nation podcast every Thursday, 12 noon. They drop a new one. You can find them on Facebook and on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and to support them. Also, today is your day. Every Friday at 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. Davis Consultants presented on Facebook and on YouTube. Be sure to find them, subscribe, and follow. Also, A Word and a Song every third Sunday at 7 p.m. Montre Roberts. You can find her on Facebook, and you can be a part of what all of our sponsors are doing. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your support. Woo! Glad I got the home team in here. I appreciate y'all. But I do know we are in a new place. And so this is to be expected. And as we talked about in prayer, what do you need to adjust in this halftime? And maybe there are some things that need to be adjusted. And so that's how we will move forward. Appreciate you guys so much. We're going to look at the DJ. Yes, it is a great new place. It is a great new place. DJ, can you turn on that music, please? Thank you. All right, everybody. We appreciate you. Be sure to give us a thumbs up if you haven't subscribed. Make sure you subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.